Now, back in the day, some of us might have actually had hair. And back when I did have hair, there used to be some crazy items around in Diablo 2 that nowadays are definitely gone. They were definitely different types of hacked things that were then duped up to Kingdom Come, and everyone had some of these crazy items. One such item is the OCCY ring. And actually, crazy enough, I got my hands on one of those now modern days in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So let's go ahead and take a look at how crazy this thing actually was while putting it in real use right here in game. Now, right here, I have a sorceress, and it's essentially built the way that one would have been, back in the day, around the time period when you would have one of these OCCY rings. Now, you didn't have all the same rune words back in at that time. That's kind of why a lot of these different dupe things were used and things along those lines. But you can see right here, this is a real kind of like legitimate OCCY ring right here. I am on single player, and I did create this up on Hero Editor. I just thought it'd be so interesting to kind of take a nostalgic look back at this item that nowadays you're not really going to get your hands on, especially online. But on single player, you can do some sort of, we'll call it funny business or whatever, and go ahead and in the Hero Editor and create this actual item all for yourself. Now, the idea was back in the day that people thought this was something along the lines of a fused unique. Not going to go into fully explaining exactly how that type of thing happens, but essentially you have a SOJ drop, and then because of some funny business that happened in the game on accident, you would have another unique item roll in the same drop slot as that item, and then they would overlap, so you'd get the Stone of Jordan, but it would have all the things of the Oculus. So right here, we actually can take a look at the Oculus, and you do see actually that chance to teleport. I couldn't figure out how to get that onto the OCCY ring, just because usually under normal circumstances, you would never ever have that. But you have everything else here on the OCCY ring that you would normally have on the Oculus. So you got 3 to sorcery skills. We got the cast rate, even the defense, vitality, energy, all res. It's all identical, and it's crazy because a lot of this stuff you couldn't get on a ring. 50% magic find on a ring. I mean, that's nasty, fellas. 3 to all skills on the ring. Just absolutely crazy. Also, obviously, definitely crazy getting 30 cast rate on a ring. Usually 10 obviously is going to be the most, so you really could save like a lot of other spots on your character. We just got some normal stuff. See, we got lidless, and we got like mage fists and things like that. We got a 2 to sorceress skilled amulet, which was incredibly common back in the day, and you see this is even a type of amulet that you can't necessarily roll nowadays, but I decided to go ahead and pull it up. This Armageddon Flesh, 20% faster cast rate here on a crazy amulet. So this would be similar to something that would have been duped up back in the day. We could have got some rare boots over here that were, imp shanks that were duped up like crazy. But we do get our hands on some OCCY rings. You see right here is the first thing we're going to kind of take a look at. And we can kind of also compare it to the normal Stone Jordan that we have right here. So you see the difference between the all skills, just 1 and 3. Obviously you have no FCR, but it does have, the mana. But this one having 20 energy, boom, right on top of it. The OCCY ring really was crazy overpowered back in the day, and that's one of the reasons why I assume around the similar time as the Great Rust Storm, when all the hex charms and things like that poofed, the OCCY rings did as well. I'm not 100% sure on the time frame there, but I do remember I had my hands on some of these on online on Battle.net before they did disappear. Now we can go ahead and take a look at a lot of different stuff, like how, for example, back in the day, just for like an FYI, I had no idea what I was doing, right? So I didn't know anything about breakpoints for FCR. I mean, magic find, get more magic find, it's going to be better, right? You see, you stack that kind of stuff up. So for this type of thing, see on this character, I have 180 FCR right here, between the Oculus and the OCCY rings. And this would probably be incredibly common. It's probably exactly what I had back then too. At 180 FCR, I just thought, oh, more FCR is better, more and more and more is better, not knowing about the breakpoints. So this is probably similar to where I would have fallen. Over here, you notice we do have the lidless. There wasn't a spirit shield back in the day, so that's why I got lidless over here. There were some different gloves you could probably throw over here too, even belts along those lines and things. So I just threw out a random generic kind of belt because I didn't remember in this bald dome up here back when I was a child, when I had hair up there again, what exactly I was using there at the belt. But for today, we're just kind of taking a look at the OCCY rings right here. Now, for an absolute classic build, the Blizzard Sorceress back in the day, you can take a look, and maybe we'll just, for an example, how much does the damage change for those different skills? So right now, the max 5734, and we'll throw on just regular Stones of Jordan here, and it drops 1,000 damage, and that's what, like somewhere between 15 and 18% damage just having those different rings. On top of that, you're obviously losing a ton of the magic find right here. You're losing a ton of FCR. Our breakpoint is still fine. I would have known this when I was a younger kid, but the breakpoint is actually still fine. But of course, like I said back then, you always wanted more, right? And you lose a ton of other stuff. You see right here, we're getting 25 to mana after every kill too. So if you did rock any of the energy shield things, which I do remember back in the day using energy shield all of the time, but I don't know what time frame that was, if it was pre-synergies, post-synergies, and things along those lines. So let's go ahead and take this out and slap some monsters, and we're going to jump to the most classical place that I ran back in the day, and that was cows. And we'll see, you know, just put this to use, huh? Now, the most classic place you ran all the time was going to be cows, and I mean, this is going to look pretty similar to modern day cow running with a Blizzard Sorceress, I'm not going to lie, because this is with all the synergies and stuff. And when I stopped to think about it, this really OCCY rings kind of existed back pre-synergy wise, because I can remember using just energy shield on everything. You probably had so many points left over because you didn't have to have all the points into synergies and things, right? So I do recall that, and this is just players one just dropping cows, but that's pretty much all we did back in the day. You got so much crazy experience from running cows. I don't know if you guys remember, but you could literally get characters to 99 just in no time. Like at most, you were just playing casually as a child. You could literally get a character to 99 like in a couple of days or something like that. When you get rushed through, you could be just level 1, sitting down in the corner. You would literally just sit over right next to the portal. You would never move, and people would go out, and you'd get experience from all around. And cows used to actually give a crazy large amount of experience. So it really was the fastest way to level. It's probably one of the reasons why things like Grandfather and Windforce were like so sought after and like never found, because people didn't go out and farm them. We didn't really understand where they were, but somehow somebody somewhere understood a lot about the game, because that's how they ended up getting some of these crazy items such as this OCCY ring into the game. Let's go ahead and bump this up to, I don't know, we'll pretend like we're in a full game with this Blizzard Sorceress. See how it hangs. So now we're hitting here at a player's 8, and it's definitely gonna be slower. We gotta remember, we don't have a lot of the crazy powerful rune words, and I don't even have all of the, you know, the crazy different hacked items that were back in the day. I don't have Hex Charms, I don't have Whiz Spike gloves. There was a ton of things like that. But really, even for just what we have here, this is like essentially a budget sorceress. But we got some OCCY rings on there that give us a ton more skills. Am I right, fellas? We don't have a mercenary around here. I don't really remember using a mercenary back in the day, to be perfectly honest. So perhaps we just didn't bother because they didn't work that great. Or, like I said about not knowing breakpoints and things, I could have just not known what I was doing. Perfectly honest. So, as you can see, even on player's 8 difficulty, it's working pretty dang good. You also hit him with the Ice Blast, and this is, like I said, played extremely similar to nowadays. Because this is on D2R, so it's got the synergies and things along those lines. Just for, you know, just to experimenting purposes, seeing how this falls. Let's go ahead and just throw it on, make it 100% legit the way that it was. Take off the OCCY rings, throw on normal SOJ. So we're losing like, maybe a little under 20% damage. See how it hits. Pretty reasonable base. Maybe get 4 sockets in that, 824 defense. We'll hang out of that one, I think. So here we are, still players 8, but we lose a ton of the stuff you get on the Oculus. So let's go ahead and see on the kill speed here. Definitely a little bit slower. Like I said, you're losing 20% of that damage. So it is quite a bit slower. It kind of shows you the power of that OCCY ring. And not to mention, with having all the extra stuff on there, you would have a way more magic find. You would have more FCR, more energy, more life. So all kinds of stuff we're missing out on not having those OCCY rings. On top of that, let's say you did know what you were doing, unlike young haired Phil, now obviously completely bald. 5th bald joke today. But if you did have the FCR to make up there, then you could definitely sacrifice or move things around in order to make your character even better. So that's another big deal about having OCCY rings, having all that FCR right there, getting a ton of all res, more than you're going to get on a ring normally. OCCY rings really were goated back in the day, and that's how you just knew that they were completely not legit. Really from day one, picking up one of those or trading for one and seeing what they are, even just knowing the value that you would trade for them because they were so relatively cheap. You knew they had to be duped, had to be hacked, but back in the day, you really felt like you were getting one over on the game back when you're a child and whatnot. So it really is kind of fun, kind of cool actually having these OCCY rings. If you want to know how I ended up getting these into the game or whatever, feel free to hit the comments. Maybe it's a video I could do in the future, and hopefully just a little nostalgic look here at the OCCY rings. Maybe shoot you back to your childhood. Remember having a great time with Diablo 2 Resurrected, and kind of makes everybody pretty happy that we got this remake that really was done quite well. Make sure hit the like button, subscribe up like I said before you go, and hit me with a comment if you want to see how I got these in the game or any future items you'd like me to just kind of take a quick look at, a little trip down memory lane. So hey, peace out fellas, keep slaying.